Welcome to Courageous Conviction. Remember that Jeff and I record each Saturday 5 episodes. So please hit the like button, subscribe so you catch all 5 episodes. We usually start out with one theme or topic. We have to go down a lot of rabbit holes to really understand it. Some things are more sensitive than others right now, what's going on in the world. So hit the like button, subscribe, and let's jump into this video.
I'm armed to the teeth.
My point being, though, that I think we're going to see, coming back to where we went with this, and are individuals children of God? Yes. Can he be disappointed in their choices? Oh, yeah, I'm sure he does. I shared with you something that was, and I feel I can share this. And I have a son, a daughter who went off to the left field, and that was due to my bad example at the time. Right. The other two, I'm talking about the 4 adult children now. My other 2 are still at home, and so 2 and 2 are active. Temple recommends, and I'm very proud of them. The other 2 are completely as far from the church as anybody could become, and it breaks my heart more so with my other twin son because I really they came along, third. And I had really kind of learned my lesson a little bit, but I was in Costa Rica at that time. So I wasn't here with them physically. Now that's a huge mistake. And divorce is never a good option. I've been there before more than once. And, especially when I was just focused on my career, I just wanted to climb that ladder. And when we met in Costa Rica and so forth. And anyway, I kind of lost my train of thought. I just think that what's going to happen, Jeff, is you're going to have, and I'm jumping back over this, I lost my train of thought at the other point, but what you're going to have is you're going to have these, I was just trying to say that these people, we love them, but by no means, like we're talking about the woman at the well when Christ addressed that situation, right? And I think sometimes we don't tell the whole story. We've done it here before. But I think that's also referred to. But he says to her, not that I accept you in your sins. He didn't say that to her at all. He did not say that. He said, go and sin no more. Basically, I just gave you a second chance, sister. Now, please, I'm sure he took a moment to teach her too. We don't have all this. Yeah, I'm sure that Christ took the moment to teach and then send her on her way, right? To live this standard. He didn't say, I'm just going to accept you here in your sins. Just come to church and continue to sin. Because if you read Doctrine and Covenants, and I'm drawing a blank now where it's at. It's kind of a bad day today with my memory. But, in Doctrine and Covenants, we are to, I'm losing my train of thought here too, bud.
Okay.
Jump with this. Run with it. Let's completely lost my train of thought here twice now. So let's go. So coming back into this, I just feel like we're going to have a hard time going forward because it's going to really give an impression, and our youth are going to see this, and it's going to be pumped into them. They're going to go to school, and it's just going to be pumped in. So we're going to exacerbate the problem instead of reducing the problem. We're going to it's going to grow and fester before it. And hey, there's going to be a point where the church is going to have to come out and take a harder line. When Christ comes, right, and we're preparing that the Zion and so forth for that second coming. When he comes, I'm sure that he's going to be loving, but I'm sure he's also going to say, hey, we know that one of the first things he's going to do is clean his temple. The cleansing of the temple is going to be first, right? And then the cleansing of his church. And so what's that mean? Well, we could go on, that's a whole another video podcast. That cleansing was going to take place, the cleansing of America as well. But I just think this is going to cause the problem to fester. It's kind of like when you got all these shootings out there, like in the school shootings. Well, they get exacerbated because why? Because the media runs with it, mentions their names, and these people think, well, if they're down on their luck, they feel like I get a little bit of fame if I go do something stupid like this, right? And so I think it's almost a lot of this is fad. A lot of this is just to jump on the ship, and because these kids feel they should be doing this and becoming to understand this And that's dangerous, Jeff. That's dangerous for our youth.
Well, even people on the left are recognizing this. I mean, Bill Maher, I remember watching a video clip of his where he's talking about how, just being gay, which the difference between being gay and same-sex attraction and gender dysphoria are significantly different, but when he was talking about this in particular issue, I think it was kind of related. And that was, back in the 50s, there was this small number of people that were gay. And then in the 60s, it changed and, that number grew. And then in the 70s, it grew. In the 80s, and 90s and so on until where we're at now. And by 2035 or 40 or something like that, everybody in the, is going to be gay then. So is it a fad?
Yeah,
and so
I do. I think it is a fact. It goes against the law.
It's just like,
it's just not natural.
It just goes to this whole thing that, we didn't have anybody that was gay in our country, on a anywhere near the level we do now. And yeah, it seems to be a fad, but
it's a fad and a lack of controlled desire, because a lot of people are, well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I think it is. I mean, I think there are some people that are legitimately, a lot of people that are legitimately gay and or have same-sex attraction. I think identifying ourselves as being gay, I remember the bishop that did that. He became a stake president, but he claimed that he never acted on any of those impulses, So, he took a lot of flack for that. But, and I'm sure there's been other instances, with people that were members of the church that have decided to, to get married and have families because eternal progression requires an exaltation that a man and a woman be married and not, any other way. And that part has to be untouched, forever. I mean, that is unchangeable. That is doctrine that is solidified. It cannot change. And if that were to change, then yeah. But there's also the other side of things where people can lose their faith.
If that were to change, then the church would cease to be the restored church of Jesus.
Of course it would. But and that's what people are worried about, but I'm saying that that's not going to change. It's only about including, people that are of these communities. They need to be included because they're children of God, and that's just, kind of the reason that, if my cousin and her significant other would show up here, I'd give them a room and they would have a place to stay, and if they're around my kids, then hey, we're going to have that conversation, not from a level of judgment, but because we've known each other forever, she grew up in the family. She went to Brigham Young University. I'm not the only member of the church that has somebody in their family that has made these choices. So we have to be inclusive on that level. It doesn't mean that we are going to change the gospel doctrine. We're not allowed to do that.
And I'm coming from my best friend in high school. He during his mission turned gay. Right? We lived together and he turned gay. And the simple fact that he had always had a crush on me made me feel very uncomfortable. So our friendship came to an end, right? Because I did not have that confidence now in our friendship. I didn't want I don't want to sit there and be looked at like I was some sort of a sex object to him. And I want to come to this point, Jeff, and I'm gonna run with this. And this is, my whole thing especially when I was inactive is I love women. I mean, I really like to go out and meet new women. I just love being around women. I like that whole idea of the conquer thing, the whole go out and pursue and conquer and try to get to know them and so forth. I love that. And when I was in Costa Rica and I was single, I probably had 20 friends that were, we just would go out all the time and do things. And I love that. And, my desires sexually are very strong that way. So I think the church should actually make a policy for people like me that's more accepting as well, and that I can actually, dwell on my desires more, and that will help me get closer to God. That ain't gonna happen, dude. I've got to learn to discipline my sexual desires, my sexual passion, and live a standard. If I want to be celestial, I have to think celestial. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to make that line gray now. And that's going to cause a lot of problems. I think it's going to exacerbate the problem in the church as far as our youth. And I don't want my kids around that. If people want to live around that, good luck with that. Am I going to go to church and I'm going to call a male a sister? Sorry, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do a Jordan Peterson, say, sorry, you are a biological male. I'm going to call you a male. Truth is truth. We're going to change truth now in the wards and our chapels. We can't speak the truth because we're afraid of somebody's feelings, who's actually very, 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 I hate to say this, it's a weakness, Jeff. If I want to act on my sexual impulses, that's a weakness and there's consequences to it. I would be excommunicated, breaking the covenant, right? And so then why are we going to make all these leniencies for certain groups and we're not going to for others? Because we can go into, you can start making groupifying a lot of people now. This is opening Pandora's box, Jeff.
It can be, or it can be also a deviation for those of us that take a different position, and don't believe that love is love. Not in the sense that people can't make their own choices or that we're in judgment, but it's not the same as being married, a man and a woman, because we look at things from an eternal perspective, and that, again, we can't go to the temple and do our endowment unless we're living the law of chastity on every level. And those things are not changeable, and they never will change. So, the worry though, and I can understand the worry that, hey, if we're now allowing we have an actual place there to put a preferred name in the temp or in the church registration, it says that is available for those people, right? It doesn't say anything there after that says, okay, now you can transgender and the rest of the people in the ward have to call you by your pronouns preferred. It doesn't say that, and it's not going to say that.
Okay, no, wait. My wife, the pathway instructor, just had to go through hours and hours of compliance where it did state that anybody, so not to be non-offensive, and she is to refer to the gender they prefer. And so that's a course she just took. The church is making new volunteers take. I don't like that either. If I'm going to volunteer for something, don't tell me what I can and cannot say. If the church is going to say, hey, the Constitution was founded by God, but we're going to go ahead and just pick and choose and take away from the First Amendment because these Marxist-leaning governments are doing that. And so the church is going to do the same thing because we're going to run the same aspect that, just so we don't hurt their feelings. Well, hey, I had my feelings hurt. I made some mistakes. I had to go back to a court. It was not easy. I had to live a standard if I wanted to get my blessings back and so forth. You know what I'm saying? It's like we seem to be graying that standard, and I'm taking that stance that, hey, here's the thing. My dad told me this little story when I was younger, and for the longest time I didn't get it until I fell off the cliff. But he said to me, there's a man who showed up in an old Western town, and there were 3 wagon drivers. And he had to go up this pass. And this pass was very windy and very cliffy, very steep climb. And he interviewed 3 wagon drivers. And I'm talking about wagons like with horses, right? Horse and buggy wagons, right? And the first wagon driver said, hey, I am so good. I've done that pass so many times, that pass, that I can hang my tires a ½ inch over the edge of the cliff and I don't fall off. And that was impressive. He went to the second guy. The second guy said, but I can't get a ½ inch over, but I can get a ½ inch close, right? To the cliff, and I don't fall off. The third guy said, look, I am not that talented. I don't trust myself. I stay clear on the other side so I don't fall off the cliff. Which driver do you think he took to cross the pass? Well, it's obvious. We're going to take the one that's the safest, right? And we're not doing that right now. We seem to be pushing ourselves towards the cliff to where there can be a lot more falling off. When church always deviated away from that. I think that's where the problem's going to be, Jeff. That confusion, that signal that under President Nelson we seem to be getting, where we never had this before under any other prophet, right? And I'm not saying I don't sustain President Nelson. I do. I just do think we're going to come to a point now where we're going to really, really, really need to put our testimonies in the Book of Mormon and have the Spirit with us. We're going to have to do our homework. We can't just sit there and go along with this, because we just go along with it, we're just as guilty of a sin of omission as we are sins of commission, right? We need to take a stand here to help build Father's kingdom. If we're not going to help build Father's kingdom, then what good are we?
I thank you for being with us on Courageous Conviction. Remember, there's 5 episodes each week that we put out. We have to go down a lot of rabbit holes, so stay with us. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and don't miss tomorrow's episode on Courageous Conviction.